Good morning, everybody. Today we're meeting on resolution number 148. Looks like we have a quorum. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderwoman Hubbard. Alderwoman Green.
Present.
Alderwoman Spencer.
Present.
Alderman Gunther.
Here.
Alderwoman Martin.
Here.
Alderwoman Navarro. Alderwoman Middlebrook. Alderwoman Rice.
Present.
Chairman Ornowitz.
Here.
Alderwoman Hubbard. Alderwoman Navarro. Alderwoman Middlebrook. You have 6 present.
Thank you. Quorum being present. The Alderwoman from the 6th Ward, Christine Ingrassia, is here to present resolution number 148, and you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I appreciate your time this morning. I'm just going to make a couple of brief statements, and I have representatives from the Booter School for American Indian Studies at Washington University here and the Missouri chapter of the American Indian Movement. I think they can articulate better than I as an ally the importance of recognizing Indigenous Peoples Day here in St. Louis City. Since the 90s, about 60, a little over 60 cities or states now celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day as an additional holiday to Columbus Day or replacing Columbus Day. I think we all are well aware of the rich Native history that we have here in the St. Louis area long before explorers and pioneers. We had the mound builders and Mississippian culture of Cahokia mounds. That was an unprecedented, amazing culture. And then subsequent to that, the state of Missouri was home to 7 Native nations. And, I think we can agree that there's been a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering that Native folks have gone through, and this is just a small step and a way to encourage some healing and reconciliation and a broader conversation than just Columbus Day. So with that, I would ask Jessica Payne to step up.
Hello, most of you know me, but I'm Jessica Payne. I am a former student at Washington University, was part of the Booter Center and American Indian Student Association. I'm a citizen of the Cherokee Nation. My great-great-grandmother was placed on the Dawes Rolls as a young orphan, married into a white family, and most of our Native history was lost. And that's a common story for a lot of Natives because of policies that were instituted by government. Their culture was essentially, they tried to eradicate it, to erase it. Coming to St. Louis and being part of the Booter Center and getting to know the local Native community here has helped me reconnect with that past. And I think it's important that the city of St. Louis also recognizes the sacrifices that were made by the Indigenous people who inhabited this land long before we had, the settlers come, the French traders, long before this was a city. Long before we destroyed all of the mounds and all of our buildings of bridges and things of that nature. I think it's important that we, as a city, acknowledge those sacrifices and remember the contributions that Indigenous people have made to our culture. So I would appreciate it if this was supported by this committee and in turn the full board. Last year we did get a proclamation from the mayor stating that in 2017, the second Monday in October was Indigenous Peoples Day. Unfortunately, she did not sign that this year. We are hoping that by the Board of Aldermen showing support for this, that maybe she will also jump on board. But yeah, any questions, comments?
Thank you. I'll go down the list. Alderwoman Green.
No questions. I really thank you. Your family story is my family story, and I know kind of growing up how challenging it is when, you know your heritage back to a certain point, and then you get to that point and a lot of times because of choices that government made, it's impossible to know beyond that. And I do think that this is a very, very important step for our city. And I know that you've been a champion and pushing us to do this for quite a number of years now. So I really appreciate it.
Okay. Any more? Thank you. Alderwoman Spencer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have any questions either, but again, thank you for being here, Jessica, and it's nice to hear your story.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderman Gunther?
No questions, just thank you for being here, Jessica. Appreciate it.
Alderwoman Martin?
No questions. Thank you for being here. I actually, most people don't know, I grew up in Cherokee Nation in Oklahoma, and so I think this is really great, and just please add my name. Thanks.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderwoman Rice?
No questions, just again, thank you for being here and for sharing your story.
And I also want to thank you for sharing your story with us. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep.
Um,
Thank you, guys.
You have another speaker?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
A little brief history about myself. My name is Kathy Dickerson. I was born and raised on the Hill. My maiden name is Calcaterra. I've been going through Columbus Day for 55 years now. My children are grown. My grandchildren are getting up there and they're going to high school now. I figured it was time to get up and start speaking out. I've had to, go through a lot of issues with the Hill, with American, with the Italian community. And I'm proud to say that this year, for the first time, they dropped Columbus Day parade. They dropped the festival and the parade. They are now naming it the Italian Heritage Days. Rio Vitale got a hold of me and said that they stand up behind me. And that was a big thing because we know how the Hill is. It's very political. So with my story, I was born and raised on the Hill. I went to St. Ambrose. I had to learn Latin. But as soon as I went back inside my house, my mom and dad's house, they live on the Hill. My mom still lives there. She's full-blood Kiowa. She lives right in front of Mary Emo's house. She's been there for 55 years plus. She came here when we had the Relocation Act, when the government was trying to commit genocide by relocating the tribal members off their land into an urban area such as St. Louis. So that's how she got here. She married Paul, my dad. He went down to Oklahoma, met her, brought her back up here, and they've been here ever since. He passed away in 2009, but she still lives there. So, like I said, I have I have fought for things, for American Indian issues for a long time now. Since 2002, my kids started growing up. I started going back to my crafts. I'm an artist for the tribe. Even though I was raised on the Hill, the tribe recognizes me because I'm connected with my tribe. So I'm allowed to go back and forth to Oklahoma from here, and that's how my school days were in St. Ambrose. That's how I am to my tribe. So with that, I wanted to not take too much time up, but I wanted to read a few things that I wrote down, and it's going to take me a minute here. But we all know in 1937, Columbus became a federal national holiday, second Monday in October since 1971. Franklin D. Roosevelt told the Knights of Columbus, an influential Catholic fraternal organization, that this holiday would be for them. In our eyes, as American Indians, he was a colonist, a purveyor of indigenous genocide. Our textbooks tells us that Christopher Columbus discovered America in 1492. The dictionary says to discover means to learn, something of the unknown, but yet tens of thousands and millions of indigenous Indians in South America would contest Columbus discovering anything. I am asking the city of St. Louis, Mayor Lyda Crewson, please stop honoring genocide, abolish Columbus Day. We as humans today can stop this day of lies and of no clear facts. of a man, of his upbringing, what really was his intentions, what his intentions really were or weren't. Help stop the constant reminder of these horrible actions of genocide by Columbus and his orders to his crew. Long history on constant genocide to American Indian, generation after generation, and we have to deal with a day that is truly disgusting. Our children are being taught he was a murderer, rapist, colonist, but yet the adults are still celebrating this. Why? This is confusing to the children, and it's confusing to us, but especially to our future generation. I go into schools. I go into Rockwood School. I go into a lot of schools in the area. That's what I've done ever since I was a little girl. In St. Ambrose, they would take me out, and I would have to go and put my regalia on and dance for the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. I still do that today. I still dress up in my regalia, and I go into schools. When the kids ask me about Columbus and they know that he was a murderer and rapist, why are we still celebrating? What am I supposed to tell our school children? With this passing, this would help me to educate our children here in St. Louis that don't have anything but their textbook to learn from. I appreciate your time, and thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll go down the list if someone has any questions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Alderwoman Green,
No questions. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Spencer,
I have no questions.
Alderman Gunther,
No questions.
Alderwoman Martin,
No questions.
Alderwoman Rice.
No specific questions. Just thank you so much for your work in continuing on this, and especially for helping us understand the development of how the Hill is viewing this as well. As that's kind of one of the things that we're getting feedback about, statues in Tower Grove Park and that kind of thing, and knowing that they're moving to an Italian Heritage Festival. And I think that was, in the research that I've done of why Columbus Day was recognized in the first place, was an intent to try to bring in some Italian heritage and an openness to a people group that had been ostracized on their own, right? And I think that move from the Hill is wonderful. I'm so glad that they're going to that, because it is about so much more than this one person who was disgraced back in Italy as well. And so thank you so much for your persistence in getting to that point with the Hill and the community there, and a common understanding of the benefit of their Italian heritage as well. We're not trying to downplay that in any way, but that we're not elevating one person who did so much damage, but instead allowing to sort of share in this. So thank you so much.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure.
As a community member, St. Louis community member all my life, I don't want the statue gone. I don't want to erase history. I want a plaque put up there telling what his atrocities were. That way my grandchildren can go up and look at the guy and then look at the plaque and say, okay, well, at least they have the truth. My grandkids are growing up and they're learning the truth. And it's getting bad out here in St. Louis. We're having appropriation of our culture, and I'm having to stand up more, and you're going to see a lot more of me. So thank you. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. There's no more questions. Alderwoman, you want to close?
Sure. Thanks again for taking time to hear this resolution today. And I appreciate your, appreciate your passing this out of committee with a due pass recommendation.
So moved.
Miss,
It's been a motion.
Second.
Second. Call the roll, please.
Alderwoman Hubbard, Alderwoman Green,
And I'd like to have my name added.
Alderwoman Spencer,
aye.
Alderman Gunther,
Aye. Thank you. Please add my name as well.
got it. Alderwoman Martin,
Aye, and please add my name.
Alderwoman Navarro,
Aye, and please add my name.
Alderwoman Middlebrook, Alderwoman Rice,
Aye.
Chairman Ornowitz,
Aye.
7 aye votes.
By your vote, we have passed resolution number 148 out of committee with a do pass recommendation. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn the Health Committee meeting.
Second.
So moved. Thank you.